Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Bag. I'm Roopam. I'm currently working as a business analyst. So in the last video, we have looked about elicitation and collaboration. Now let's look at how to prepare for elicitation. So from now, whatever videos we are looking, we have some purpose for that. We have some inputs that we need to perform that activity, and then some elements that is a process to work on that elements on that activity basically, and then some supported sections, and then coming as an output. So we'll go each of those in a step by step. So as a BA, if you want to prepare for elicitation, the purpose would be you would need to understand the scope of elicitation. Why are you doing elicitation? First thing is elicitation is a process of obtaining information and verifying result from the stakeholder by collaborating with them. Now, in order to obtain information and also to confirm results, you first need to understand the scope of elicitation. Then once you find that, okay, what are the things I need to obtain and what are the things I need to verify, basically, then you will look at the technique that need to be used to do that. So you select a technique and then plan accordingly in order to find the materials that I need to look for and the resources to obtain the information. So the purpose of preparing for elicitation is you are just selecting the technique and you are planning that how would be I will be able to obtain the information from certain material or resources. You are just planning. That is prepare for elicitation. When you do it, then that's a conduct elicitation that will be covered in the next video. But for now, you're just planning that what need to be done and what's the purpose of preparing. Coming to the inputs, what do you need as an input when you're preparing for elicitation is first thing is when you collaborate with a stakeholder or communicate with a stakeholder, you are well suited with the plan that okay, I would need to do in this way so that I would get this information at particular point of time. That information is done multiple times to get the exact amount of information from a stakeholder. That's called effective elicitation events. So those events are done and recurring so that you collect all the information, and that's where the stakeholder engagement approach comes into picture. So if you look at this particular thing here where you are communicating and collaborating as per the plan and executing that will give you an effective elicitation event, and that is called stakeholder engagement approach. So here the input are one is you need a need and you need to and the second one is the stakeholder engagement approach. The needs are identified only when you have communicated and collaborate as per the plan with the stakeholder. Once you do this thing, probably the information is derived from that activity and stored, and that information is then ready for you to as a need for you to prepare for elicitation. So in a layman term, basically when you contact or when you interact with stakeholder, they give some information to you. That information is basically need for you, and that is considered as an input for preparing for elicitation. Clear? Let's move to elements. Now this is the most important section of a whole video. Do not skip this one. First thing is there are 5 things that you need to perform while preparing for elicitation. The first one is understanding the scope of elicitation, then selecting the elicitation technique, setting all the logistics, and securing supporting materials, and then preparing the stakeholders. So as a business analyst, you need to do 5 things for preparing for elicitation. First one is to understand the scope. Now the first thing is, why do you do that? To understand the BA information and the technique that need to be chosen. As a BA, you are responsible to understand all the BA, that is business domain, the corporate culture, the stakeholder location, the stakeholder groups, expected outcomes, skills, elicitation activities, the strategies, solution and future solution, and BA information. If you are around this thing, basically you know what information from will be brought from a particular a parameter. So in order to obtain information, you need to be aware of all these approaches or all these parameters, and the techniques you choose must also be reliable on all those information. So the first step is you identify the scope. Where is my elicitation being very much effective, and where will I find the right amount of information from all of this? And you need to cover each of them as a BA. So for example, if you want to do a elicitation for certain project, basically you understand the business domain there, you understand their corporate culture, how is each one of them behaving, what is the stakeholder location, how do I interact with stakeholder when I want to communicate or collaborate with them, what is my expected outcome, what will I do with stakeholder when I contact, and what would be my expected outcome, what I need to ask stakeholder, what will be my strategy, how would I conduct this thing here, then what would be my solution approach, how would I approach them for solution, or what would be my future solution look like, and what kind of information I already have as a BA to explain them. So these are all the things you would need to cover or understand basically just at your end, and then you can then select the technique, a right technique to choose that is commonly used in a situation, and that helps you to prepare the task, execute the task, and complete the task using that technique you have chosen. And this technique is 100% dependent on all these parameters. So make sure that the technique you choose is right to the situation and right to the parameters. Now, once you've understood all the scope of elicitation and you have identified the right technique, then you move to the setup logistics. In order to find what I need to do is you do an identification of your participants, who will be my participants, what will be my goal of those, what kind of resources I will be using, in which room or which mode of communication I will be using, what would be my channel of communication again. You've already chosen the technique. How would I elaborate my techniques and what would be my language of communication? So the setup logistics is basically you're laying down a medium between you and the stakeholder or anyone within the organization to get communicated, get collaborated with. So logistic will help you in order to set an agenda for a meeting. So that will help you to set an agenda and to derive all the information you need using a technique you have chosen. Once you are done with the setuping of logistics, I mean you understand what to do, then you are in a way of securing supporting materials. That how would I secure my materials? How would I store the information? First thing is you'll identify all the sources that are available within you. You go and identify all the system historical data, the materials, the documents, the business rules, organization policies, regulators, contracts before doing any elicitation activity. You prepare them, you understand each of those datas, because while going into an information or while going into a meeting with a proper agenda, you would come in a situation where you need to ask questions to a stakeholder regarding certain information to be collected at your end. So in order to be prepared for that, you need to understand all the policies, all the business rules, all the materials, supporting documents, and you need to make sure that those are actually stored at your place, so that while you go to your meeting, basically you are very good having a good understanding of prior knowledge, and that will help you build a secure supporting material. And this will be throughout your journey, so this will never go vain. The last step you do is a prepare stakeholders. Now you will able to you're in a situation where you have already prepared. You have prepared with each of those four sections. Now you are at a stage that you need to inform the stakeholders that I'm going to conduct an elicitation session with you, basically to get all the information. So you need to educate the stakeholder that what kind of task he would need to perform during elicitation activity. Basically, what kind of thing he gonna we as a BA would ask him. Basically, we would also cover some information that would be needed. So we'll already inform him that we are looking for some information on this particular topic regarding this, and that's where I'm into elicitation, or I'm into a task of elicitation here. Also, once you are done with all your requirement collection, you have understood what is the BA information I'm looking for, then probably whatever documents you have stored, whatever kind of approach you are looking, probably the stakeholder will be the one who would obviously review it. So you need to educate him that you would also need to review my documents. I have did some investigation or research on my at my end, and also I would need your inputs on this, so that will help me to move this step forward. And there where you can educate your stakeholders. This is all about preparation. Before going to any meeting, you are doing the steps. in order to understand each and everything at their own point. So this is how you do a prepare elicitation at your end. So think in a way that you are making yourself ready before going to any meeting. So that's where this things come into picture. Let's look at the next section, that is supporting sections. Now these are the three supporting sections that will help you to do a prepare your elicitation: the guidelines and tools, the techniques, and the stakeholders. The guidelines and tools help you to perform all the elements in a seamless manner. The business analyst approach, what would be approach would look like? You need not to deviate from your business objective. Your objective will be same. You need to use your BA information that you collect from the supporting material, and what kind of potential value you'll be providing to your stakeholder, that need to be very much pointed out and pinpointed to your stakeholder that we are working on the values you are expecting. So that's where the guidelines and tool would say. The techniques you use, these are some of the top techniques you might use while preparing for the elicitation, is doing a brainstorming session at your side, doing an interview of yourself or within your project managers or within your domain subject matter expert or sponsors, doing and preparing a stakeholder list or stakeholder map so that you can understand how to collaborate with them. What are my who are my main stakeholders I need to contact with? Some of the stakeholders involved during preparation of your elicitation is domain subject matter expert. That is the one who will give you all the information regarding the domain, the project manager, the resources, timing, and constraint. The sponsor, the one who approves your registration activity need to be done or not. So regarding moreover stakeholder, I guess you can watch my stakeholder videos in the channel, and that will help you a lot in defining each of the stakeholder in detail. What happens when you prepare for the stakeholders at the end is you get an elicitation activity plan. That is, you have a plan now ready, and now you're ready for the interviewing or doing conducting an elicitation. And while doing conducting elicitation, this will be an input for that. So you are ready with your logistics, what I will be using, what is my scope. You have understood the scope of elicitation, you have selected appropriate technique, and you have already secured and collected all the supporting materials. Now you're ready to go and conduct the elicitation. So that's all about preparing for elicitation. I guess you have understood, but if in case if you have still doubts in this, basically please comment and let me know so that I can clear all your doubts. And also please subscribe and follow my channel, and let's see in the next video how do we conduct elicitation. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Goodbye.